Good morning and welcome to your TVC headlines here in Clarence, Rockland. It's Friday the 10th of December and I'm your host Thomas Stockting, bringing you your latest regional update. In your headlines this week, COVID-19 latest in Ontario and Prescott Russell as the cases spike, a location change for regional coronavirus testing centre, vaccines on the way in Eastern Ontario, sights set on encouraging local women to get into local politics, confusion over the future of the JML Arena, the local Ginolae smash their targets, and it's time to get into the festive cheer. The Eastern Ontario region is set to move back into the orange restrict zone just a mere 3 weeks following its return to yellow. This move is subject to confirmation this afternoon and would come into effect as of 1 minute past midnight on Monday the 14th of December. We asked the Chief Medical Officer of the Eastern Ontario Health Unit, Dr. Paul Roumeliatis, how likely it is the region will move into this orange zone and what this would mean for businesses and other Christmas gatherings.
I think it's very likely that we're going to go to orange. This is the recommendation that I agreed to today. Again, a cabinet's going to look at it. I doubt very much that our numbers are going to change between now and Thursday when they make the decision. That's one. I think that we will. It will not change much in terms of the number of people that can gather. However, it will change the number of people that can go into gyms, the number of time you can spend in the gym. It will also decrease the number of people at once in a restaurant and at once at a table, and it'll decrease the hours of a restaurant. It will not, but it will not close any businesses. So that's going to be the major difference moving forward. If we happen to, start getting better in terms of numbers, we'll go back to yellow. I hope we don't go the other way. I just want to make a comment as well. I know that we talked about. I think somebody asked me about, how long do I foresee being in orange, and is it going to be like 1 week like last time? Well, last time we were really getting out of orange, going into yellow, and I knew we were going to go into yellow, but because they didn't have enough trends, they kept us in orange, and then we went out. We sort of stayed in the yellow, but now we're kind of seeing the trend upwards, and it's not only accompanied by just the numbers of cases. We're also seeing our positivity rate and our R naught going up into the yellow. As a matter of fact, our R naught is more into the red range, so our R effective. So that's why I think that it's going to probably be a bit longer than just a week, but I'm hoping that we can see signals that at least it's going down, it's stabilizing.
On some good news, the only outbreak in the region remains at the residence Prescott Russell. However, since last week's show, there have been a further 52 active cases in the Prescott Russell region, with 120 people being infected at the time of this recording. The total number of cases in Prescott Russell since the start of the pandemic is up by 55, bringing that number to 628. Active cases are up across most municipalities as well, unfortunately, as Clarence Rockland saw an increase of 8 with 17 active cases. Castleman, who had just 13 last week, have also gone up by a further 8, and the Nation and Russell now have 21 and 24 active cases respectively. If you're experiencing symptoms, self-isolate and get tested to help stop the virus from spreading. Locally, the testing centre from Lima is moving from Limoges to Castleman due to the colder weather. The testing centre is now will be located inside the EOHU's offices, and it will no longer be a drive-through, but it remains as appointment only. It's important to remain vigilant and to keep abiding by these socially distancing measures, even though there are vaccines on the way, as we don't know how long it will be until they're made available locally. On Tuesday evening, Dr. Roumeliatis was asked about the work being done to prepare the region for the deployment of vaccines.
We have been we had meetings with our ministry. We've had meetings locally with partners, with our hospitals, and we do believe that we will be leading the immunization in partnership with others. We're waiting for specific instructions in terms of when we're going to get the vaccines. We have been given indication that we will be getting some rollout of a vaccine early on, and we are preparing for that because we're anticipating that that will go primarily to the elderly in long-term care and retirement homes. And so we're already working with our EMS partners and getting everybody primed to be able to go and vaccinate those very vulnerable populations, and then breaking down from age down and down. We're waiting for national guidelines for that. But yes, we have a task force in place locally. We are working with our health unit partners, including Ottawa, with a task force regionally, just to make sure we have that. We're working with our hospitals. Our internal task force meets on a regular basis with our IMS structure. We also have meetings with the ministry regularly right now. So yes, that's revving up. We have had experience in rolling out vaccines, so I'm not concerned about that. My only concern is that this time it's going to be different. It'll be very difficult to have mass immunization clinics with long lineups, given that we are in a pandemic situation. And so at this point in time, we're preparing. We know that there's going to be IT, the special kits and IT support that the ministry will be giving us to be able to do, mobile clinics or wherever we need to do that will contain all kinds of information, programs, so we can give appointments, follow-up appointments, inventory control. All these things are going to be in there based on the platform that we're using now, the vaccination platform. So yes, we do expect to play a role in this. I'm actually going to be meeting our hospital partners and others on a regular basis for that. Obviously, I don't have very specific details at this point because we don't even have a vaccine that has been approved at this point in time, but we are getting ready for the scenario where we need to roll out vaccine to the elderly in retirement homes, long-term care facilities as a primary goal in the beginning of the year with two-dose regimen. And whether it's a Pfizer one or others, we have bought fridges for the Moderna one, and I know that we have freezers locally in our area where we'll be getting locally for the Pfizer one that needs -70 freezing.
Though these vaccines may be on the way, there's still a lot of misinformation surrounding how long COVID antibodies remain within the body. This is particularly important as the concept of gaining immunity, either by the vaccine or having caught the virus, is very similar. We spoke to Dr. Marc-André Langlois from the University of Ottawa, whose study is looking into debunking the mysteries surrounding COVID immunity.
Herd immunity is the concept by which a certain percentage of the population has immunity against a pathogen, and that the pathogen can no longer propagate in the population when a certain threshold of immunity is reached. Now, herd immunity is sometimes used to describe natural herd immunity, which is acquired through the transmission of the pathogen in the population, and or by reaching herd immunity through a vaccine. When talking about natural herd immunity and proposing to let natural herd immunity take its course in the population, that is a very, very bad idea if what you're dealing with is a pathogen that is potentially lethal, as is the case with the SARS-CoV-2. So this is not a desirable method of reaching herd immunity. A much better method of reaching herd immunity is through a vaccine and immunization from that vaccine. The vaccines do not cause disease, and therefore will offer a similar level of protection without causing the same side effects. And this is what we're hoping to reach with these vaccination campaigns that will be deployed shortly.
And going and looking at your study here, by your own definition there of herd immunity, it's far better to acquire it through a vaccine. As you said, there are many benefits to having it that way, or at least far fewer negatives. But your study at the moment has been, as it's prior to a vaccine, looking at people who have been infected by the virus. So could you talk to us a little bit how this concept of herd immunity works in correlation to your own study, please?
So our study is called Stop the Spread Ottawa. We're aiming to recruit 1,000 individuals to be part of this study. The study has two arms. It has one arm that is looking at individuals that are at risk of getting COVID-19 and those that already had it, so a convalescent group. And the aim of the study is to look at long-term immunity and learn something about immune responses to the virus. So in the surveillance cohort, what we're looking for are individuals that may have contracted the virus over the past few months, didn't know about it. So these were the asymptomatic individuals. So we'll be able to detect these individuals by looking at their antibodies in their blood. The other arm of the study, the convalescent group, these are individuals that have had COVID-19, have had a positive PCR test for the virus. And what we're trying to do there is to look at their long-term immunity. So how long do these antibodies last? And specifically, how long do the neutralizing antibodies last? So these are the antibodies that prevent the virus from spreading from person to person. Will it be 6 months, 10 months, or more? And this is what our study is aiming to do.
And I know you said your study started in the last couple of months, but have you had any preliminary results come forward so far to sort of showcase how long these antibodies last?
Absolutely. There was a lot of misinformation at the very beginning about antibodies, how long they lasted. There were some reports that they didn't last very long. After a month, they disappear. And this is not true. What we're seeing is that in almost all individuals that have had COVID-19 or have been exposed to the virus, the antibodies do last for several months. We're seeing very high titers of antibodies even after 3 months of exposure, post-exposure to the virus. So we are very hopeful and optimistic that the vaccines will provide protection for an extended period of time. What we don't know is whether this protection will be for 10 months, 12 months, or 18 months. And this is what our study will hopefully provide some insight into this duration of the protection.
And you touched on it a little bit there. At the moment, most of your study group is obviously made up of people who have antibodies having caught the virus earlier this year. With the vaccine imminent, Dr. Paul Remiliotis from the EOHU is talking about maybe it being available in the Eastern Ontario region before the new year. How is this vaccine going to affect your study? Will it complement it, or is it sort of working in contradiction?
No, it will absolutely complement the study, because we will be able then to compare how does a natural antibody response to the virus look like in comparison to an antibody response that is induced by the vaccine. Is it similar? Does it last as long? And therefore, these are all parameters that our study will be able to look at, study, and provide information on down the line.
So I take it that once these vaccines are deployed and some people have been vaccinated against the virus, you'll be encouraging those people to participate in this study as well?
Absolutely. I encourage everyone to get the vaccine. I'll be getting it myself for sure as soon as it comes out. It's very important at this stage to understand how long this protection lasts, because there's a question of booster shots. These vaccines will require booster shots. The question is, do we need the booster shot in 8 months, in 10 months, 12 or 18 months? And we don't have that answer. As with all pathogens, immunity does wane over time. And we want to have that information about when to provide the next booster shot to maintain immunity and hopefully see this virus go away.
This study is still looking for more participants at the moment. So if you've been infected by COVID-19 this year and would like to be part of the data sample, or maybe you're simply curious about your own immunity, then sign up to Stop the Spread online. In the City Council meeting on Monday night, Councillor for Bourget, Ward 8, Ms. Diane Chouanière, asked for a financial contribution towards a local campaign seeking to encourage women to participate in municipal politics. Speaking to her fellow councillors, Ms. Chouanière, who was elected to represent the Clarence-Rockland region for Leadership Féminin Prescott Russell, explained that this campaign is primarily focusing on demystifying local politics for women. Currently, their website contains a variety of information, providing tools for women to use to see if a political career could be for them, explaining that portfolios such as infrastructure, economics and sewage, for example, are nothing to be afraid of. The website also contains testimonies from each of the Prescott-Russell regional representatives who sit on the committee, sharing their stories, experiences, difficulties and benefits of their political careers. Clarence Rockland City Council unanimously voted in favour of providing the funds of $1,000 to aid in the increasing awareness of the campaign, subject to approval on the 21st of December. Also on Monday night, confusion filled the air, or the virtual air that is, as the council were unable to agree over the future of the Jean-Marc Lalonde Arena. It was decided during this year's budget meetings back in November that the arena would be closed until June 2021, primarily due to COVID-19, as well as allowing the city to save on some costs associated with maintaining the building. The confusion stemmed from councillors not only disagreeing over the medium and long-term future of the arena, but that the closure that was announced in November was never actually formally agreed.
Well, if you recall at budget time, what my sentiments were is that we've seen from the reports the over $5 million in expenses that it would take to bring it back up to par, maybe, because structure still needs more study and so on. And to see with $5 million what you would do with tearing it down and building something you actually need, fit to the specs that you want, fit to what the community actually needs, a place for seniors, a place for, there's a list of things that the community actually needs and that we can fit on there. So there's two parts to the point. So one of them to me that I stated was that I think that building should not be operated anymore. The operational costs alone, just operations, was right off the bat, off the roof. It should not be there. It's a white elephant. And it was to have the courage, because that's something that as councillors sometimes we need to have, is to have some courage to call it for what it is and to say this is a building that should not be open anymore because operations long term, we can't sustain that building. But at the same time, to start the planning to say, okay, so what are we replacing it with? What's going to go there after? What's the next step? So, and that's also what I was talking to the department to say, well, this is when we need to get the ball rolling. It's also part of the recreation master plan that was approved by council to moving forward as to how do we fill the voids that are in there, including a place for seniors. So to me, it was two parts. It was step one into saying, well, we need to take a step back for that building. And the second thing was to moving forward, what are we going to replace it with? Because it needs to be replaced with something. So to me, I thought it was pretty clear that that's where we were heading.
Well, I guess we see things differently. So somebody has to step up and put a motion, because to me, it's not clear. Mr. Bouchard seems to say that it's very clear, but to me, it's not. So somebody we can discuss that budget, but then there's nothing put on the table for real. So if somebody wants to put something in writing saying, this is what I propose the closure, so on and so forth, then we'll have a real discussion. But right now, I think we're still just discussing. That's my last point.
Yes, I think staff was definitely left with not clear direction on where we were going with Jean-Marc Lalonde Arena. So we went ahead and did the work that was necessary to meet with all the groups. And we can see from the discussion tonight, it's not clear. So I would like to respectfully suggest we'll bring back a motion for your consideration at the next meeting. And that way it'll be difficult tonight to have a discussion. I think we might go around. If you have one motion to focus on, it will help clarify things. And we have a couple things to look into as well. And we may or may not have clear information on the other developments. So if that could be the direction, we'll bring something back on the 21st, sorry.
Okay, Madame Joignard.
I don't understand why we're still discussing it. We already passed a resolution saying it would be closed until June. I think, we should rediscuss this as far as the closure, whether it closes for good or not, should be discussed maybe in May, like maybe a month or two before the end of June. Yeah. But this is like, we cannot, every time that a group comes and say, hey, we don't want you to close it, that we renegotiate again and re-argue it again. We made a decision, like Mr. Bouchard said, some decisions are tough to make, but it's our responsibility to look at what is better for the whole city. And right now, closing it for 6 months, everybody agreed that it's the best decision right now. So why are we discussing this again?
'Tis the season for giving, and evidently few give better than you, the Clarence Rockland community. In a pandemic twist, as previously reported, this year's Ginolae was changed from a chaotic day of food giving to a week-long virtual fundraiser, as the Centre d'Aide set an ambitious target of $40,000. And we spoke to Steve Love on the final day to find out just how generous the community had been.
Okay, so the first Sunday in December is where we're at. And traditionally, that was where we do our door-to-door food drive. So we would have teams out in the community, but this year, because of COVID-19, we can't do that. So this year we've had our virtual fundraiser, and we've had a week-long sort of our campaign, our dates, which is culminating today on December 6th.
And today, December 6th, is normally the Ginolae day, where you have this hectic 8 hours, isn't it? Talk us through a little bit what the Ginolae is normally like on the first Sunday in December, and how you've handled this particular day today.
So, I mean, normally I'd start in October calling people, getting stuff to ready and organized. And then the Sunday, we'll meet 8 o'clock in the morning over at the school. We have prepped it the day before. For our 10 o'clock teams that start showing up, they get their routes, their maps, and away they go. And they go door to door to every house, and they collect food, they collect money. And so I have 22 different zones. Some of those zones have 3 to 5 teams, so you're 15 people. So we're over 150 people that are out there gathering food. They bring it all back to the school. It all gets sorted. It gets put into these bins. And then there's the teams that bring them over here. And in this place, you would have 20 people going nonstop, trying to stack this stuff, put it where they can. And by the end of it, it's stacked on top of each other right to the roof. This place is jammed.
And so on the 6th of December, or the first Sunday of December, normally there are a ton of people coming in and out of this building, aren't there? So what happened today? Did you have a big turnout at all, or was it more on the virtual side?
So for the virtual side, worked for us. So virtually, we got more donations than we were maybe anticipating, or we didn't know how it was going to go. We're very happy with the way that went. So the community has come out for us again, and they've given us lots of money, and it looks like we're going to make our goal no problem. Within the weeks and that coming up, we're going to be successfully reaching our goal. And from that, we'll be able to fill these shelves. And throughout the year, people can always still donate, as they do throughout the year. Traditionally, we'd have food drives that continue. So you can always donate to the Rockland Help Center.
Fantastic. And normally, as you say, people turn up with a lot of food that they've purchased themselves this year. It's very financial, obviously, due to the pandemic and not having so much transfer of items, as we discussed beforehand. So what's going to happen with the money now? Are you guys purchasing some food with it? What's going to go on?
So that's exactly what will happen. So in this center, we know exactly what we want and what we need. And they'll send the guys out. They go to the stores, the local stores, during the days prior to our main day, which is Thursday, when the people come. They'll go out and they shop, and they will fill these shelves with the things that we need, so we can target what it is we need, and the money will go absolutely to the things we need. And they'll be able to gauge where it needs to go this week, or where it needs to go last week, but all the money will go back into the community.
Fantastic. And just before I let you go, Steve, is there anything anyone can still do? I know that today marks technically the end of the Ginolae, but donations closed. Can people still get involved?
You can always donate here to the Rockland Help Center, and we're always welcoming donations because there's always a need. And I think with the COVID-19 and the pandemic, we don't know where this is going to end, or that need's going to increase. So donations are always accepted and always welcome here. E-transfers, you can do that online all the time. And if it's open on a Thursday, if you want to come by and make a donation, there's always someone here to take that for you.
That's perfect. Well, thank you very much for talking to us about this, Steve. Congratulations once again on another seemingly very successful Ginolae here in Clarence Rockland.
And thank you to the Clarence Rockland community, the people, the businesses. Awesome.
Yeah, and we'll catch up, well, before next year, I'm sure, but most definitely, hopefully what is a slightly more normal Ginolae next year. And actually, last question whilst I have you. This year's fundamental difference was the fact that you guys embraced a very virtual side to things. Is there any chance that that might remain next year, even if we live in a post-pandemic world?
So there's two parts to that. So the virtual side is great for raising money, and that allows us to buy this food and provide to the people that need it. The Ginolae side brings the community together. So on that Sunday, when we've got people, and I said before, we've gone out in miserable pouring rain when it's just hovering around zero and you're frozen, and people come in with smiles and they've gathered food and they're all happy, and it's a big community building thing. So we'll have to see where it goes.
At the time of recording this show, the Ginolae had raised more than $52,000, with more donations still to come. So a very big congratulations and well done to everyone who donated in whichever way they could to help out those families really in need this year. And finally, continuing with the Christmas spirit, the town of Clarence Rockland went all out this year to ensure the festive cheer could help raise people's spirits. Over 1,500 cars passed in an incredibly successful drive-through light up Christmas parade this year. And we were on the ground in the cold Sunday night to take in all the action. This report is only in French.
Donc bonsoir, on est ici au défilé illuminé de Noël à Clarence Rockland. Il y a, comme vous pouvez entendre, plein de monde ce soir. En me joignant ce soir, c'est l'organisatrice de l'événement, Christine. Christine, comment allez-vous?
Très bien, très bien. Je suis très heureuse de ce qui se passe ce soir.
Absolument, donc on va parler un peu plus de ça. Le défilé de Noël, évidemment, vous avez passé beaucoup de temps à organiser tout ça. Et est-ce que vous pensez que ça s'est bien passé ce soir?
Comme je t'ai dit, je peux pas dire, sans mots, comme je suis très satisfaite de la soirée.
Donc vous pensez qu'il y a plus de monde que vous pensez qu'il allait y avoir au début?
Non, je pensais pas d'avoir beaucoup de monde, mais quand la parade a commencé, c'est là que j'ai capoté. Je capote comme c'est là encore.
Et donc, on est un peu après 6 heures maintenant. L'événement devrait aller jusqu'à 6h30. Est-ce que vous pensez que vous allez devoir rester plus tard alors ce soir?
Je pense que je vais rajouter une demi-heure pour satisfaire les familles de voir la parade.
Fantastique. Et Christine, juste avant de vous laisser, qu'est-ce que vous direz aux familles et à la communauté qui sont sorties ce soir?
Un gros merci, ça m'a fait ma soirée. Merci beaucoup et joyeux Noël.
Parfait, Christine, merci beaucoup. Je vous parlerai un peu plus tard. Passez une bonne soirée.
Merci.
Donc ici ce soir, il y a plein d'entreprises locales. Il y a évidemment la cité de Clarence Rockland qui est là. Vous pouvez peut-être entendre derrière moi, il y a les camions des pompiers. Vous avez la microbrasserie Brouwer Kaufman. Mais aussi, on a Kavanagh Concrete Limited. Donc, si vous venez avec moi, je suis joint avec Steve de Kavanagh. Maintenant, Steve, ça va bien?
Ça va bien, vous?
Ouais, ça va très bien, merci. Donc, je veux vous demander, avant qu'on parle du camion, je veux vous demander, c'est la première fois que vous faites partie du défilé de Noël ou vous le faites avant?
Ça fait 2 années de suite, là. L'année passée, on a fait partie de la parade l'année passée, là. Mais on pouvait conduire l'année passée, mais là, cette année, on est stationné ici, puis c'est le fun pareil. On a du fun, on a du plaisir.
Il y a pas mal de lumière sur votre camion aussi. Ça vous a pris combien de temps de mettre tout ça?
Au moins 3 heures mettre les lumières, mais ça nous a pris à peu près une semaine à le nettoyer comme il faut parce que c'est du ciment pareil, puis ça prend du temps à nettoyer du ciment. Ouais.
Et comme vous dites, c'est tellement différent cette année. Vous ne pouvez pas conduire, c'est les gens qui conduisent. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de cet événement? C'est une bonne chose pour la communauté?
Moi, je trouve que c'est une bonne affaire, que Noël s'en vient. Je pense que ça va aider un petit peu avec le monde à avoir une meilleure ambiance, un petit peu plus un petit peu plus gros sourire pour tout le monde, vu que c'est Noël, puis ça fait du bien aux gens, puis surtout les enfants, tu sais. C'est les enfants qui comptent là-dedans, puis ils aiment bien ça, puis c'est ça qui compte, c'est ça qui est le fun.
Parfait.
Ça emmène tout le monde ensemble, puis tu sais, on peut pas rien de meilleur que ça, Noël.
Exactement. Bon, merci beaucoup, Steve. Passez une bonne soirée. Et on se parle à bientôt, j'espère.
Merci beaucoup. Ouais, j'espère qu'on va avoir de la neige bientôt.
Moi, j'espère pas. Hein? Donc ça, c'était Steve de Kavanagh Concrete Limited. Donc cet événement devrait se terminer à 6h30 ce soir. Mais comme vous avez entendu avec Christine, ça va se terminer beaucoup plus tard. Donc Clarence Rockland, merci beaucoup d'être sorti ce soir et passez un très bon Noël.
Now let me tell you, it was chilly, but it was great to be out there. And that's it for this week's edition of TVC News. If you'd like to become a volunteer reporter here at TVC 22, then please do get in touch with us. We're always looking for more people to contribute. We'll provide you with all of the training you need, and of course, you'll be a much welcome member of the group. So if you're interested or you have a story you want told, you can reach me by email at nouvelle with an S at the end at tvc22.ca, or you can give me a ring on 613-446-6037, extension number 4. Or of course, in the 21st century manner, find us on all our social media channels. Have a lovely weekend, Clarence Rockland, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.